Welcome to the Cyber War and Peace track. I give you Val Smith, Colin Ames, and Anthony Lai with Balancing the Pwn Trade Deficit. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, I'm Anthony. First of all, I need to disappoint you guys. There's no national secrets here. Okay, otherwise this talk will be banned. But it's okay right now. Okay, we are talking about China malware, right?
All right, so I'm Val. I run a company called Tech Research. I've done stuff with the Metasploit project, given a bunch of talks, and that's about it.
I'm Colin Ames. I work with Attack Research with Val here. I can do a lot of things, pen testing, malware analysis, so on and so forth.
Yep, I'm Anthony from Hong Kong. I work on penetration test, code audit, reverse engineering. China made malware, study a lot, and would like to share with you guys here, right?
All right, so quick overview of what we're going to do. We've been taking a look at the Chinese hacking community with a lot of help from our buddy Anthony here. He's given us a lot of insight into how things work. So we're going to kind of go over some of the people in the community, some of the differences between what's going on over there, what's going on over here, methodologies that we've seen, and some interesting and funny stuff in the malware that we've collected. We have a pretty sizable chunk of Chinese-specific malware and exploit generators that we're going to talk about. So another thing that we kind of found interesting was that, at least based on media reporting, there's a lot of success coming from the Chinese hacking community. So we want to get some insight into that. And probably the most important thing is gain a little bit of understanding beyond just assumptions between the two security communities. And we find that that's important. So first, a little philosophy behind this talk. Our goal here was to try to understand things about the Chinese hacking community rather than sort of just assume things. So, we spent some time gathering facts, talking to actual people over there in the community, and, looking at a bunch of data. And we thought, if these two cultures and even more cultures in the hacking world can come together and learn more about each other, maybe we can advance the field a little bit more. So for this talk, just to reiterate what he said, we're not trying to talk about any governments or nation-state stuff or anything political. We're mostly going to talk about Chinese-specific criminal activity and hacker community things. So we're going to go through some terminology. Anthony's going to help explain some differences in naming conventions and wording and things like this. Then he's going to go over sort of a history of the Chinese hacking community and famous Chinese hackers, white hats and black hats. And then we're going to go into a bunch of fun stuff we found in malware.
Yep. Hi, guys. Actually, I would like to talk about some kind of terminologies first. If you search some China search engine like Baidu, anyone go to visit Baidu before? Well,
Couple people.
Your friends, yeah. There's a lot of censorship there. You like it, right? Yeah. Actually, because when you search UG, it's a chicken, like a Trojan or a victim of the machines. Okay, if it's something like we lead chicken like UG, these Chinese alphabets, that means they sell or they could provide you some kind of victim machines. And also another one is Guama. It's a Trojan, web Trojan, like inject the iframes into the website. Okay, you see the Chinese word, so you can search it out. In Baidu, it's good place for Trojan malware. It's a heaven. You like it, okay? Another one is the Mensa. It's an anti-killing. Prevent to be killed, like to bypass the security controls, something like that. Okay. Okay. I would like to talk about the part two about the hacker generation. I suppose in the States there's also hacker generation, right? And there's a 5 generation. The first generation is they also simply like sharing the techniques, some tricks, okay? And there's some very famous chief executive like Mr. Ma from Tencent. Yeah, the stock price is very high then because they buy the QQ, right? And also Kingsoft, right? Mr. Kao. And also another one is creating the Chinese alphabet input method coding, Mr. Chow. They are always the first generation of the hackers. And but for the second, third, and the fourth generation of hackers, especially in between 1997 and 2002, there's a lot of conflicts between China and other countries. So there's some kinds of warfare, okay? Cyber warfare, boom, 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 boom. With China, United States, Philippines, and Indonesia, right? And especially like the second generation, they are quite famous, three famous hackers. Mr. Yun Ge, he's the Warren Beatty hunter. He always searched for 0 days attack, but it's already 10 years and 15 years ago. And another one is Xiao Yong. He's a software developers. Another Mr. Wong. He sometimes got some tools available for download in xfocus.org. Anyone knows XCOM in Beijing? Yeah, we will go there, right? We will go there, head to there. But you know, it's very hard. It's very tough to go with the registration process. So that's the reason we need to take 18 hours traffic from Las Vegas to the China, yeah, to hack there, right? And also the third generation. There's lots of names, but I would like to highlight the white one. Is Fresh Sky. He will be speaking in an XCon. He's a very great guy. I mean, especially like exploit, like a lot of security risk, the pitfalls that he has figured out. Most of them are discussed on the forum, and the forum groups. And the fourth generation, if you like to know some Chinese character, but however, there's a link called Evil Opto. It's a very good site for some kind of exploit attack, like hacking studies and tricks. You could go there, use a Google translation, and get there, right? And the fifth generation, actually it's the same as other countries because most of them are script kiddies, get the tools, run it, even they don't know how to C during the programming in C, and simply to get the money, get some accounts, sell it out. So this is fifth generation of the hackers in China. So that's the reason like they destroyed the ecology for the first three generation. And there's a China renders. I'll just show it to you because most of you guys from the United States then, but actually there's some renders there for firewall antivirus and some China-made antivirus software, especially 360.cn. Most of malware are target on them to bypass their control. And Kingsoft, something like that. And also the LoonSet and Anti is another security research company. Yeah. So there are many white hats there. And how about black hats in China? They like communicate in forum and QQ. Okay? And anyone talk with MSN, right? But they like it. The QQ is the very good tools for their communication. And many hacker sites, like a training school, hacker training school, they would like to train your skills and also want to get some to be the master and get more students. Okay, and they like to write like a script. Most of them like script kiddies and support membership. They recruit them to give the membership fee. Then you could download the tools. That's it. Good money, man. Come to China. It's easy to get a vector machine because in the hardening and security, I mean, in general in China, the server has not been hardening, especially some small to medium-sized companies. For Chinese Black Hat, it's a very good, well-developed industry, I could say, because for the box, it's around 10 cents to 30 cents US dollars per box. If you got more, then you have got discount. How to communicate it? Go to the forum, go to Baidu, search it, then you'll get it. You'll get some QQ content. And also according to China Cert, actually in 2009 there are already 2.5 million children, compare with in the 2008. Actually the children manufacturing 2.4 billion RMB dollars. But expect over 100 billion RMB in 2010. Then you will know that why they can make a big money. Actually, I would like to join it to earn such money. If stand on stage have no money. Okay, let's talk about how do they advertise. You hear, then you go Baidu and search. I just translated. And the translation is something like that. Cracking websites, server, personal computer, installing remote control, attack server, okay? How to get zombie, rectum, software cracking. Wow, multiple services. Comprehensive. You like it? Yeah. And also how to crack QQ password, database intrusion. More than CISSP syllabus. But I can't learn from Hong Kong, but I can find from the forum. And also accept use of making children manufacturing. Do you have this such kind of industry in the United States? It's underground, but they put it on the forum, okay? And also like cracking cell phones, steal their chat history, steal MSN QQ history. The most, I much more appreciate them. Please call QQ 85920162227. You got the customer service, man. Yeah, favorite attack paths, and actually steal QQ and game accounts credentials, control others' computers and camera. Once you get the game accounts credentials, sell it off, you get money. That's it. But the problem is how they get it. They use much more than like the web trojan, iframe injection, and exploit.
We have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, what is QQ? Is it a forum or what?
No, QQ is an instant messenger.
Okay.
It's like a meme. It's a chat.
Yeah. You just type in QQ, then type in instant messenger, you get it. Yeah, to join the party.
It's
in
just
China.
like ICQ.
Yeah. The Tencent CEO should be frank me. Because QQ belongs to Tencent. Chinese made me aware.
This is your joke.
Yes, sure. Oh, okay. Actually, do you like dim sum? Yeah, I suppose the Las Vegas dim sum, wow, very expensive. $19 US bucks, but come to Hong Kong, please drop me email. I go to that $19, but Hong Kong dollars, okay? Much more delicious, man. Just drop me email, okay? Okay, here.
All right, so thanks for the overview of a little bit of history of Chinese hackers there. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about, we got a collection of Chinese malware and we did some reverse engineering on it to try to not so much explain what every sample does, but find some commonalities or some fun, interesting things. So we focused on comparing data between multiple samples to try to get an overall picture of how the community works and if they do like code reuse or sharing, things like this. And we have sort of an automated system that we pass samples to, and it does a static analysis and then virtualization sandbox, not VMware based. And the main thing that we do is we log API calls and arguments to API calls. So, if they're doing a call to write file or it's not that super exciting, but it's automation so we can handle a lot of different samples and gain insights about what they're doing. We also did some network tapping on our automation system and static analysis. So, you're back?
Yeah. It's very busy, man. Okay, first malware, I need to highlight some interesting one. Okay, first of all, I got the malicious link. You get it very easy from like a malware online sites and to get it the link. Then, however, for this, it's very interesting. The shellcode, the script inside is using some different of Chinese characters like that. How to say it, because I have not got a cursor, right? But this one is a 需要你, I need you. 有一天 one day. Yeah, but if you write the shellcode in the States, I find it both of guys is like variables X, okay? Very formal, right? Very good practice, good programmer, right? However, they put the lyrics from Mr. Chow, very famous Taiwanese singers, with the wordings, and code the shellcode and sing the song relaxing. Enjoy the shellcoding process a lot. So, for the second one is PDF exploit. It's hard to see, I suppose, you guys, because you always sit on the back. Wow, very back. Hi. Yeah, lost sleep. Yeah, that's good then. Well, you'll find a very small characters here is Yunge. I have told you there's a second generation hackers, right? Third generation, right? Maybe this is the fans of Yunge. They put it here. And then, okay. And the third generation, and the third number of the third malware is about fake QQ. Actually, this is, I could answer you. This is like a very, very good, this guy. But this is a fake one, fake interface. Okay. Once you input it, actually the data, the username and password will pass to the admin database link to Zhihai, actually as at the province in China. However, the link is submitted to the China government site. Don't be worried, don't be worried. Interesting findings. I go to there and get it, the link, and find it in, wow, yeah, this is Chinese government website. Okay, 611.130.101 and 40. Yeah, this is Chinese government website, one of the province website. Actually, they are the victim. I used the monkey wrench and put it there and found that they have a loss of the injected iframes. Many, you bet? Full of iframes injected. Then actually they are victim. Yeah. They find that a lot of links of script are injected to the site, and actually they don't know about it. And this is an attack path, like to build a QQ. You trace the victim to enter in the username password, submit to the site to the infected websites from the China government, and then at the same time visit the website. You visit the website here. You get the exploit as a gift for you then, right? So there's a two path. One is QQ, and you just go to that site. Then you will both get that exploit. And also target, much more the attacker's target is for the China government, because most of the time, because the security controls and hardening varies from different provinces government in China. They need some help actually. Then the fourth one is the recent fresh zero-day attack. I'm thankful to Wing. Wing has presented. Wing is here? No, should be catched by the press, right? Then the company Ames team has a good research team. They could abroad and write it down about such kind of injection. Actually, from here, through the secret injection, they spread out the script, inject to the website, and then get a link here, the page. But once we got the website there, then when you visit it, maybe inject maybe a government site, then they will you run the payer of the fresh payers and exploit your fresh payer vulnerability. At the same time, the shellcode, the script here in IE.html will download a shellcode loaders and will get the shellcode and also provide a heap space against your IE browser. So once you exploit it, you could get the dropper. The dropper is download another second stage malware or payload and get the password stealer, but you don't know what's the password stealer for, so you get a command here, yeah, and a command and say, oh, I would like to steal this game account, online accounts, yep. Then very systematic, organized it. Interesting part is in the IE.html, I got this one, Anhei. Anhei is a Mandarin, that means darkness. Then again I search it. Anhei, wow. Here, Anhei is a workshop, okay, darkness workshop. Latest web Trojan generator, Trojan course, Trojan encoding, fresh Trojan. Lots of choices for you guys like that. You could go there here if you got internet. It's alive. It's free. Open source, no source. Open executable, use a binary will to be word, man. Then it's the interface, pick your choice. Pick your favorite exploit, man. Here, favorite exploit like a supermarket. Exploit supermarket, here. Then source code, you got a source code, you can see but cannot change, sorry. And also like after obfuscation code, the script. And also this is anti-debugging, but here is to bypass the 360 because you find me show you this 360 is a major antivirus software in China. 360, okay. And once you click it, run and click it here, then you will generate these files. Then you get a heap spray. Then Collins will talk about shellcode.
All right. So, like we were saying, or Anthony was saying earlier, is that they have the current generation runs a lot of scripts, a lot of script kiddies in a sense. And so you see actually in the shellcode is very simplistic. It's actually just a dropper in all cases. It'll just pull down from this website here. And the interesting thing about the shellcode, so this first shellcode, we analyzed several samples to kind of get a feel for sort of the evolution of the shellcode as it goes through and as to what they're actually targeting and how they're trying to target it. What's interesting about this one, we have a size here, it's 814 after the heap spray and actually gets evaluated. Very simplistic. It's unobfuscated once you get past the actual Java heap spray. So in the actual shellcode, there's nothing further that you have to deobfuscate. And you can also see kind of trouble here where they're padding. So let's see. So in here, you input the site that you actually want to download your dropper from. And so this is always unknown. So they program reasonably well, and they always put it at the bottom of the shellcode. Now in this particular example, and this is the IE7 XML overflow, and they have a lot of spacing at the end of it, which doesn't make a lot of sense. There's no point for this. These are more or less no-op instructions, but there's no need for them at the end here. But this is kind of where it goes. The next one is the Aurora exploit, which is very much the stock Aurora exploit that you see all over the web. And again, it's more simple now. They've actually optimized the shellcode itself. It's now only 612 bytes. You don't have this random padding of spaces at the end of the actual download link. And then again, it's just a simple dropper. It downloads to c.exe and runs it. I was going to show some actual disassembly here, but there's almost no point. You can look at just the hex dump of the shellcode and know precisely what it does, which is strange. They go to the simplistic effort of first making the obfuscated JavaScript, and then once it's actually running in shellcode, it's just simple. And then we get to a new version. Now this is just their shellcode generator. Which generates a blob of nice Unicode escaped. It's now 1,437 bytes in size. A little more functionality here. We're getting a little bigger. And it's no longer in clear text. So our actual download string at the end, it's in the same place, which is great because you can easily find the XOR key. And then in the shellcode itself, it actually has an unXORing stub that first executes and then unXORs the rest of the shellcode in memory, which will give you the actual download link. And so you can actually watch the progression and sophistication of their shellcode as it goes along. From the jump from the IE7 vulnerability to Aurora is fairly simplistic. There's just optimization going on. And then within less than a year between Aurora to the shellcode generator, which popped up on their website, the sophistication grows rapidly. And so maybe this is new people coming on, new techniques that they're learning. But it's even further sophistication. Inside of the shellcode itself, it has tons of calls that re-enable and recreate shell or strings inside of the shellcode itself. So not only do they first XOR the entire thing, they then have individual pieces that reconstruct all of the strings inside of the shellcode. So they've now gone to 3 layers of obfuscation even in their shellcode itself. And so this leap of sophistication keeps rising. And this is, again, completely designed towards script kiddie type use, where you download the simple tool, click a button, put it up on your website, and serve it up to everyone. So we're just going to kind of throw some examples of some of the generated payloads, just the JavaScript and the heap spray, so you can see some good examples of kind of how they go about doing stuff. It's the usual stuff. Check your target, pass them the exploit that you want to give. Simple sort of things. Now, some of the fun ones here is they're highly recognizable. All their heap sprays look like this. This is actually they always have cute in, so Anhe became QQ or cute?
Yeah, QQQ became Anhe.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually hearkening back to their origins, I suppose. But in here is actually their, they are advertising over and over and over again. As Anthony says here, it's good business in China, yes. So
I love it.
they, of course, the shellcode to go through and they replace all of this with %U and it becomes a Unicode decryption. But it's strange that all of their, you can watch here, all of their exploits, all their heap sprays look like this. All of them. All of them. So here's a fun one.
Yeah, actually, the most interesting in the shellcode, you will find that in Chinese, right? Warning, do not edit the shellcode with Notepad. Otherwise, it could not be executed.
So
I have not seen such a warning. You write the shellcode with warning cannot be opened with Notepad. This is my first time to see it. Yeah. It's very good.
So again, this is just showing how their heap sprays are done, and this is to give you a good idea of how, or steps forward that you could do for identifying these things in the wild, like when you're actually getting hit, or if you're on an incident response and you need to understand where you hit with such a malware type attack. So here's a fun one. I'll let Anthony explain the meaning of Kaba here. So
Kaba is Kaspersky. Actually, in Chinese is Kaba. Actually, in Chinese, Kaspersky is Kaba CK Kaspersky. But Kaba is like an abbreviation of Kaspersky software. So you find the shellcode is a lot of Kaba. He hates Kaba. A lot.
He either hates it, or this is also possibly a technique. Someone probably clicked the avoid Kaspersky, and so then they put in these keywords so that maybe Kaspersky won't flag on them because it thinks it's Kaspersky.
Give a shout to HD.
Yeah, we have a nice shout here. They follow research here, so we should be following research there. Okay.
Yep. Actually, for the Chinese malware goals is compromise game accounts credentials to get the money, and also generator is free for people to try. Most of the time, you are the victim tomorrow, and you will be the attacker after a week because you could get the money after spreading out the Trojans. So this is kind of the sales leveling is very systematic and business oriented.
All right, so we dug a little deeper into the offerings by this organization, Anhe, and there's like 30 RAR files of different exploit generators, and there's some interesting things. They actually provide like a little advertisement in the RAR so that you know like where you're getting it from and who to contact on QQ if you need technical support or I don't know. The other interesting thing is things like the Flash O-Day, an IE O-Day. If you look at the dates on the inside the RAR for the executables, often they're before they're published here in the US. So by the time we find out that there's a vulnerability or an exploit in something, they've already got like a canned exploit generator that's available on the web that anybody can download and run. So that's kind of cool. This is just a list of the different exploits that we downloaded from this site. So a lot of these are like pre-disclosure O-Day generators. So I think we compared something like 20 exploit generators from this particular site. And all of them had this DLL, which we didn't really know what it was. And almost every single one uses the same DLL. They all load it. And there's one exploit that's a different version. It's like an older version. So one thing that we see is that over the course of a year, they use a standardized DLL with all of their exploit generators. So that's interesting. And we took a deeper look at just the resources, just some simple analysis to try to get a feel for this. And so the other cool thing that these guys do is they develop their software almost like it's a commercial product. So they add resources with version numbers, who the team is that developed it. I got copyright, which is kind of funny because I don't think they have copyright in China.
I can't believe it, man.
Yeah, but the nice thing is every time you find one of these samples out there, you just have to look at the resources and you'll know right away where it came from. Like they advertise heavily where the tools are coming from. And so there's some information here about the DLL itself that everybody's using. It's from this site called Skin++. So I did some comparison since when we started we weren't exactly sure what that file was, to try to get a feel for what's different between the two, since almost all of them use one and just one uses the other. And really they're really similar. There's only just a small number of functions that have changed. We did some bin diffing on this and they're essentially the same thing. One's just an older version, they've added some stuff. And it turns out by reverse engineering this, we discovered that literally all those all the screenshots that Anthony showed, they're all skinned with the same DLL. The DLL handles the whole graphical interface. So we went and checked out the site because we're like, okay, is there a malware company that builds GUIs for exploit generators, or what's the deal here? No, it just turns out this is a pretty big company in China that provides graphical interface software to everybody, like Huawei, which is a big telecom company. There's all kinds of companies. Like if you watch this site, it's got sort of an animated rotating advertisement, and like tons of big name companies use this. So essentially what this means is the exploit developers just went out and got a commercial commonly used skin tool to make sure that their software was easy to use and visibly pleasing. So, you know, the other thing from this that we gather is they used to be called QQQ and now they're called Anhei. So they underwent a name change for some reason, but we're not quite sure why. And back to you.
Another one is very famous remote controller. Gray Pigeon is a Kuigetsu. This one is a very famous one because this is already produced at least 10 years ago, but there's a lot of variants, and there's a lot of source code for download. I mean, the source code is downloadable for you. I got a source code. Drop me email. I got you get your source code. The source code is written in the Turbo Pascal, right? And actually, for this software, they do kinds of capture screenshots, the keystrokes, steal user accounts, open microphone and camera, execute any application, upload and download files, shut down services, execute commands of controlled workstation, like the normal one. But it is suspended by the vendor for the upgrade officially since March 2007. They put it like a legitimate software. Yeah, I respect them. There's many variants right now. You could find it in the Wikipedia. And I would like to show you some GUI, the graphical user interface, and it generates server executable. You could generate your own server executable. However, you could see this part. You need to pay the money and get the user account, otherwise you can't generate it. Okay? And also, it could say this one and this one. What's going on? UPX. Then you will make a guess. Yeah, this is to make a pack. This is not pack, but pack with UPX only. Okay. Pwned. You know, so many victims here. Okay. Then you could try to play with your fingers. Okay, and get what you want. This is a quite great Pigeon 209 super powerful Platinum version. Something like that. It's translation, something like that. Platinum version. And also this part.
All right, so we got some binaries for Gray Pigeon, and we got the source code for Gray Pigeon. We started checking it out, and there's some kind of funny, interesting things in here. It has several main components. It's got the client exe, that's the main program that runs what you saw a second ago. And when that's run, there's this operate ini that's generated, which I'll talk about in a second, and a few text files and a doc file, which turns out to be like a real official looking EULA, which I find hilarious. So this is just an example that, you know, the doc file will have something like this, and then it's literally just accept the terms for registered users of Gray Pigeon. They're really good at monetizing these tools, so they make sure that you pay before you can use them. But yeah, it's just a standard EULA. And they have a disclaimer, you know, things like, you know, you can't use it for illegal purposes, but I'm not quite sure what other purposes there are for this.
Actually, if you use it, they are not liable for any loss.
Yeah, they're not liable for losses if you use their tool. Yeah.
Enterprise version.
They actually have a change log, so you can track as they improve the tool over time. So, you know, you can see things that they redesign the client and the server programs to handle multitasking. So you can really track their progress as they go along. And as he was saying, the tool is officially no longer supported, but tons of people have picked up the source and keep adding features to it. And so it's out there and pretty prevalent. So there's another file that comes with this tool. It's one kind of buried down in one of the subdirectories, and it's called qqrui.dat. What's really interesting about this thing, we looked at the strings in this file, and we're not quite sure, like we haven't finished reversing it to understand exactly what it uses this file for, but it's like this massive list of names of every company, college, like everything you can imagine. And then inside that list as well, there's a huge pile of like what looks like random numbers, but these are part numbers for like electronics or DSL modems and things like this. No idea what this file is for. Like we can't figure out where it inputs this or what it uses it, but it's there with the source distribution of this tool. All right, so now we're going to sort of do a banquet of malware sample funny things that we found. We're focusing on Chinese specific tools that we collected. We found different things like funny strings or weird things that they do. So the first sample was actually given to us by a friend who was doing intrusion investigation and at some commercial place. And the file was named SVO host, which is kind of funny because I think they're trying to copy the SBC host or whatever, but misspelled it. So we just have some general information about the file here. It's not too big. Now, all the files that we analyze pretty much show up as not packed. Like we use a PID database in our own tool to parse the database and do matches on opcode sequences. But they are packed. They're just packed with some custom packer that we don't know what it is. But you can see here, like it has things like get tick count, net add connection, and actually ClamAV picked this up as exploit MS0806. So I thought that was kind of funny. So we took a look, we basically took this thing apart, took a look at the strings, and there's all kinds of funny stuff in these strings because they tend to like to put like Easter eggs or, hey, call me at this QQ address or whatever. And we found this word phantom spelled in leak speak, and then over here there's an email address and a domain, and it says by Kyo and a few other things. So we went searching around. There's like a semi-famous hacker team, they call it over there, called the Phantom Security Team. They actually had a blog for a while, but it looks like they're sort of inoperative. But this particular tool came from this team. I don't know if this team were the guys using it on the network that was broken into, but at least they built the tool. So another tool that we looked at was this one here. It's called NBSI, and I tried to run it in a VM, and it wouldn't execute. Well, it would execute, but nothing would happen. It would just sit there. It would use 100% of the processor, and nothing would pop up on the screen. So I was like, all right, well, let me attach to it in Ollie. And even though there was no window popped up, in Ollie we could see the window name is actually NBSI 3.0, and then they give us the URL of their hacker team site, which is darkteam.cn. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's real easy to determine when you get one of these samples of these exploit generators or malware, to figure out what team made it, where did it come from. They just advertise. So we finally got this tool running by sort of hiding it from a virtualization machine. And you can see the tool here. Anthony helped us kind of decipher what these things are for. It's essentially like a SQL injection scanner tool. So you input your target URL up here on the top. I lost my cursor, but you input your target URL and sort of like what parameters are normal, and then it's going to go through and try a bunch of different types of SQL injection. So just as a quick test, we threw up a netcat listening locally on port 80 and told it to attack ourselves and made up some random thing to do. And it came back and we can see some SQL injection attempt here. It'll actually do a ton. And last year we worked on an intrusion at a commercial company where their web logs were just full of like piles and piles and piles of SQL injection attempts, and we actually traced it back to this specific tool. So the injection attempts are done very particularly encoded in a certain way and have a certain format, and you can trace it back to what tool created them. All right, so we found another interesting one called service.exe, and our packer detector found that it was packed with armadillo, and it looks like an armadillo pack binary. And this one does sort of your standard stuff, execs a file, creates a file, whatever, creates a process. A lot of these have some rudimentary anti-analysis detection built into them, whether it's anti-debugging or VM detection. It's never like super sophisticated, but it's always a little bit. So we did some API logging on this one and discovered that it creates a batch file. Now, one of the big things we found in a lot of these tools is, at least the malware tools, previously we were talking about the exploit generators, now we're more into the malware side, is that they love batch files, like tons of batch files, and I'll show you some examples here in a minute. So this guy creates a batch file, it executes that batch file, then it creates another file that's the same name but it's in exe, and then it creates a process here, and eventually it actually deletes the original file. So we went and took a look at the batch file that it makes to like get a feeling for what it's doing. It makes a directory called rar inside of WinRAR, and I'm not quite sure. I need to go back and see what it does if you don't have WinRAR installed. I did. And then it creates an internet shortcut in there, which goes to this file here, rar.lnn, and then it does a few other things, add a registry key. It's essentially setting up persistence and then starting this executable here. So we went and looked at that internet link, and it's just a link to another executable that it creates in here. So something really funny is that it actually, this executable, when you run it, it drops a DLL and throws it in Windows System 32, and the DLL name is actually chicken. So if you remember at the beginning of the talk, Anthony was explaining in China they use the word chicken instead of the word Trojan. It's sort of a cultural difference. Chicken is like something you're going to slaughter and eat, so that's, you know, they use that for the victims that they've broken into. So it's kind of funny that this DLL that it injects is called chicken. So the other batch file that it creates is startup.bat, which just shows it loading the chicken DLL, setting it up, and I already explained that. So, all right, the next sample that we took a look at is HDSI. And there wasn't really anything that interesting about this in the initial static analysis. It's basically got all your typical type of imports that we normally see. However, ClamAV actually found this as an online game Trojan. And as Anthony was saying earlier, there's a lot of focus on stealing online game credentials. It's a huge industry. I think it's like $4 billion industry where they steal game credentials, go into the game and steal all your items, your swords and gold and whatever, and then resell them. So there's like sweatshops full of guys breaking into computers and stealing game accounts. So here's another tool that we found, HDSI, and it's sort of a more advanced SQL injection tool. We can see here we did basically the same analysis and it works the same way, although it creates a table with a particular name. I don't know how to say this name.
Which one?
This one right here?
Jiaosu, like actually like a province at one of the China of the province. I mean the name of province name actually.
Okay, so I'm going to flip over to my virtual machine here real quick, and so we have a huge collection of a variety of these things, but I can show you some of the stuff that we found. So the Anhe executables are pretty recognizable. They all pretty much have this globe icon associated with them. Different ones do things like use the red hat icon or whatever. These NBSI SQL injection guides use this icon. So the big deal is that there's a lot of recognizable things about the tools that they use that can help you determine like signature these tools, so to speak. There were several tools from Anhe that focus specifically on Kaspersky. You know, Kaspersky evasion. There's actually a video on how to use their tools, like a 30-minute tutorial video. It's pretty well done, actually. So we have those binaries here. If you take a look at how these things work, for example, you pop this guy open and you put in what you want your payload to be, you know, whatever URL you want it to go talk out to, yeah, whatever your dropper is, then you hit go. And it's essentially going to generate these big files. There'll be like a graphic. Here's that skin DLL I was talking about earlier. Let me open this up real quick. All right, so it's basically ready-made client-side exploits, one click. And then you can see the recognizable heap spray signature here that we've been talking about. So there's just a ton of tools. It's amazing how prolific these guys are. There's another tool called Ghost that we have the source code to. It's pretty interesting. And we're going to put a lot of this information up on the Attack Research website. Anthony wants to talk about Little Mouse.
Yep. Actually, this slide is prepared when I cannot have a sleepless night, this rigorous because I produced it in a few hours. Then, because this is a very famous one, it's a downloader called Little Mouse. Actually, it is captured from the Hacker Forum in July 2009. And the packer is like NS Pack version 3.7. And also it could be like, there's a Chinese name here, Mr. New. Okay, it will be translated, maybe he make it the packers. And this is the interface. And I could explain the interface here. First of all, you have a test file with the list of the malicious executables, because the function is you could give a list of TXT file and a list of payload you would like to download to the rectum to different sites. And also you could have a link to a page to get the numbers of the infected workstation. And this is some of the options, lot of options to bypass and detection and infection techniques. This is deployed, and this is update. Okay, this is the contact, sales contact, QQ 15242261, and author name, Little Mouse. Okay, how scoring for this function? First of all, this is an image hijack, BT function, but I don't know where there's an image hijack in BT function. Recover SSDT, and bypass detection common security tools, kill other downloaders, okay, use his own downloaders, and also hide and stealthy, encrypt or pack, and it will spread the downloader through the ports 15, 135, and 445. I like this one. This ICP command, okay, to crack the ICP command, but it is suitable for cyber cafe. And also this is one, you find it, 360 again. What's that? Antivirus software. To bypass antivirus software, 360 antivirus software, and support the latest version. Supports latest version. So this is the features summary I actually show you. And how does it work? Actually, first of all, like a workshop right now, okay? Prepare a list of targets of executable, okay? And your name of executable may be different for the executable downloaded or installed to the rectum. The file should be like that. Yeah, like a web scanner to put at multiple sites, but multiple payload. Okay, I put it like that. Respect Blackhat. I respect DEFCON. Right. MS update. Cal Notepad. Yeah. You could put those payload in different names. Then after you create it, you click deploy. Then you could get the mouse.exe and another executable called fsg.exe. What's that? For the mouse.exe, it is not packed. Okay, I simply put the strings and find that it is written in Delphi. And there's a link again. As I mentioned before, there's many. Baidu is the heaven of the malware and the links and the communication between hackers. But no, Blackhats, okay. So the problem is they will put the links in the Baidu.com for download this payload. Then this software will get this list from Baidu. And also this is the strings in the mouse.exe. You'll find it. He tried to detect this different software. 360. So NAV, right? NAV, right? Lot 32. Yep. Many US companies. Yep. I suppose they should make a booth over there to promote this software. And RE, I do some kind of a very simple reverse engineering for the mouse.exe. Then they have some queuing. Because I would like to buy, if I would like to buy, I would like to verify the function. Right? We have the customer rights, right? So check. Get random test A. If you find it some test about virus firewall for the port up, then it will queue, terminate it. Okay, call the functions, this one. Okay, 70D785, terminate the functions. Terminate the surface, the port. And also it will target on, and also target 360 antivirus software. Yeah. And terminate different process, and call this subroutine 40B303OC. Then this is the queuing the process. And you'll find it like safeboxtray.exe. It's a lot of wordings. Okay. And yeah. And afterwards, you have found it the mouse.exe, and another executable you have FSG. It do the encrypted. The user could to encrypt the mouse.exe. Of course, once you encrypt it, you can find the strings. Then how it works again? Step 2, prepare the statistical sites to catch the infection. They have got the configured ASP and also a dump of the pages. A lot of these pages files already in the package. Then this is one of the sample of ASP files to to see the report, to daily volume, and get the IP address, get the MAC address, the infected OS operating systems. Why do I love, or maybe you love, China-made Trojan and malware? First, complete software update history. You could find no Trojan could have a complete list of the change logs. Okay, it's a little bit of translation. Reliable download speed, reliable system occupation. I don't know what's that. Resources occupation. Recover documents. Okay, and also this one. It could be bypassed the Kaspersky, Wising, Kingsoft, and the major software, antivirus software, and optimize the download speed. Right? They make a lot of incremental improvement in every version. They have got a lot of responsibility here, right? And also there are features and how-to. Even it's Chinese, okay, it doesn't matter. However, I got this kind of how-to. I could how to know how to install it, deploy it properly. Without pictures, their description is awesome. Complete how-to instruction, again, yeah, I just, because it's Chinese then. And get you good demonstration of the deployment, deploy like that, the configuration files, the list.txt files, and also a very good statistical support, okay? With disclaimer, important, right? Legal, right? Please test it in VM environment. I'm not liable for any loss if you test it at your machine. Yeah, very ethical. Lifelong commitment, continuous updates, and one-to-one customer service. Software update address here, and the QQ link, you could reach them. And also, this software supports updates on anti-debugging and bypass security software detection. Please stay tuned. How can I get such awesome software in China to have such kind of, like a 7-Eleven support, 24-hour support, man? So, by the way, but the offer was arrest. But there are lots of variants. There are many variants are still undergoing. The lesson learned is, you know how professional Chinese Trojan writer did, right? How do they package their work as a commercial product? Bypass various security control and detections is the key features and selling point. And also restrict from analysis and removal. And I just sum up the Trojan market. First of all, like put it downloadable in various hacker forums, search engine. Okay, Baidu is the famous place. And emphasize the anti-detection capability, provide contact and continuous support, download by paying subscription fee. Sometimes the victims who purchase software, or no, not purchase software, they become the victims and become attackers. They could recycle. I mean, the model is continuous. So this part will be much more interesting to you for how the downloader works.
All right, so I'm going to talk about some conclusions that we've drawn on all the stuff that we've looked at, and then I want to open it up sort of like almost a panel-style question discussion. I take advantage of the fact that Anthony's here from China to help us with this. So if you have, questions about the community, the hackers, anything that we haven't covered, we'll open it up here in a minute so that we can get to those questions. So some of the conclusions we've reached by looking at all this malware and talking with Anthony and other people is that one big difference is that the Chinese hacker community primarily uses forums and QQ for communication. This is a little bit different, and at least in my experience here in the US, there's like underground forums, and then there's private IRC channels, Silk chat rooms, things like this. So it's a little bit different. Their forums are pretty much available, open. Some of them you have to subscribe to become members of, but you can find them very easily. They're not underground, let's put it that way. Another thing that we've concluded is that community very rapidly deploys really simple, easy to use, standardized GUI tools for like the latest cutting edge, in fact, even pre-cutting edge exploits. So not only is there high-end researcher, people who can find the exploits, analyze them, understand them, and then write tools to deploy them, very, very advanced, but their script kiddie community is huge because these tools exist. Here in the US, often we don't provide such tools very easily. So the other big conclusion is that all of these tools, malware, are like chock full of identifying information, whether it's the resource files or within the strings of the shellcode itself or whatever. There's like advertising to let us know who the team is that created these tools. There's a lot of code reuse. We see the same essential technique, the same underlying functions, the same underlying DLLs in all these different collections of tools that we've got. And what this really does is it allows tons of people to hack without really knowing what they're doing. Like it enhances the script kiddie community massively. And maybe part of the reason there's a lot of hacking going on. So some other conclusions, both China and the US have a criminal hacker element as well as a white hat hacker element, researchers, and a thriving security industry. So there's a lot of similarities really between us that I think sometimes we tend to forget. And we both have similar problems. We have criminal hackers here that are stealing credit cards. They have criminal hackers there that are stealing game accounts. It's the same kind of stuff everybody's dealing with. Their government sites get hacked and used. Another big conclusion is that we see huge jumps in capability, especially in their shellcode, in various groups. From month A, it's pretty crappy standard stuff, and 4 months later, they've got really advanced, obfuscated, multiple layers of code. So that's pretty interesting to us, how quickly these different groups advance. Another thing that we see is a lot of use of 0 days. I don't really know how that compares between the two countries, if we use 0 days or not, because we don't hear that much about it. But almost all these organizations that we looked at have collections of 0 days. So I think more collaboration like this would be valuable to get a better understanding. And also, they follow as Colin said, they follow our security research, and I don't know how well we're following theirs, and I think we need to look at that a little bit.
Yeah, I simply friends to Will and Colin's. They're good friends, band of brothers, man. Thank you very much. And to talk with me here because we work together on study the malware and also some of my friends and my wife and also my dog's family because I sacrificed the time to take them to have a hiking and come to here. Then he think I'm gambling every day, but I have no money. Right? So I thanks to them. Yeah.
So. With that, let's open it up to like a question panel because I'm sure some of you will want to ask Anthony for insights that maybe we don't have. We got a question over here, and I'll repeat the question.
Yeah, the 0 days. The use of the 0 days. Are you finding that it's just 0-day exploit code or completely unknown 0 days? Like, was there research done on that research already been done and exploit wasn't available? Or are you finding these are actual 0 days, not known?
So the question is, in our research, did we find that they're just reusing known 0 days, or are they actually using unknown 0 days? Is that more?
Is it just exploit code for a 0 day that was researched?
Yeah.
Or is it you had never heard of this ever?
Yeah. So what we found is these exploit generators, like the date stamps on the generators themselves, are before the disclosure dates of the exploits. So they're no joke actual 0 days. We also find tons of reuse of 0 days. Like if somebody does come out with a 0 day, they're going to have a tool within a day. But often we find them ahead of time. And in fact, a lot of the 0 days are actually discovered by looking at Chinese malicious pack sites. So let's see, got a question right in the middle. That's a good question. I don't know if Anthony has any insights. The question was if the latest generation are mostly script kiddies, who's writing the 0 days?
Wow, who's writing 0 days then? Actually, they got some sponsor of money. First of all, then someone trained them. They have hacker school there, hacker training school, and training you how to do to exploit stuff. Then got some secret funding, then you know how to do the 0 day.
All right, so I'll just repeat for the people in the back. He basically said that because all this stuff is commercialized and funded, they're able to have like a honest to goodness development cycle. So there are guys running it like a business and then providing those tools. Way in the back. Okay, so the question is, what percentage is financially motivated of hacking? What percentage is like fun and academic, and one's government? We have no idea about government, but a lot of it appears financially. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, actually, for most of the cases are like a commercial products, but the government have no ideas. You know, even I have ideas I will not disclose here, right? So that's the reason that I suppose most of them are selling products like that, selling their products, packaging the software to selling. But most of the time is for the target is the stealing the game accounts, game the credentials.
All right, so in our opinion and his as well, it's mostly financially motivated. Like there's the forum exchange is academic, but the actual hacking activity is commercialized. Question right here in front.
Can you describe the dynamic between, say, the Russian underground and the Chinese underground, or any rivalries or conflicts between Chinese hacker groups in the country?
So the question is to describe the dynamic or rivalries between the Russian hacker community and the Chinese hacker community. I'll just give a little bit of opinion. I do see a difference in the tools and the way they develop the tools. Russian tools tend to be very, very advanced and complex and elegant. Chinese tools tend to be very prolific, lots of them. There's tons and tons of stuff. May not necessarily be that advanced. That's really the only insight I have. I don't know if Anthony has any.
The Russian underground is also significantly different in the way that they communicate. The Chinese Blackhat community is very upfront and open. I mean, you can do basically a Google search for them and find them. The Russian underground is a lot more selective and a lot more hidden overall, so there's not a direct correlation there. And as to conflict between, I don't know if we've ever seen any evidence.
I have no idea. Anthony, you have any ideas?
I just found I could say there's a large difference between, the quality, the Trojan quality between the Russia and also the China-made malware, because most of them they will copying, not copying. I'm sorry, referencing other software made by Trojan by other countries. Yeah.
Yeah, we found a few tools or a few attacks that just on face value look Chinese, but once we reverse engineer them, they're actually Russian tools. So we have found that.
I mean, another thing that's really telling is if you look at just the malware packs. I mean, all these are generating more or less Impact-style installations. Impact and other Russian-made actual deployment packs of exploits are far more complicated than what these are doing. So.
Yeah, the sophistication difference. Next question. Let's see. We'll do this guy right here and then you.
Right, so you mentioned, I think it was Little House author who got arrested. I just wanted to hear your ideas about how efficient authorities are in China, how often such arrests are happening.
So the question is, how efficient are the authorities in China to arrest hackers? And I'll defer that one totally to Anthony.
You guys always asking some sensitive questions, man. Good question. Actually, to the authority, I give you experience. I don't know this one arresting is the efficiency, but I could share my personal experience. I have my friend working in mainland, then his computer is trojaned, and go to the police station, and the police say that, what's going on? And that my computer is trojan. Yeah. So have you lost any money? Any loss? Suffer any loss? No. Okay, back to home, man.
So essentially, if there's no major money loss, they don't do anything.
Yeah. However, for the policy, I suppose they have already got a list of the policy. Yeah, the policy, the authority policy to against the Trojan and attack. However, the problem is rather you could find a very significant loss suffer from the victim. If they don't find it, they will simply put it the lower priority.
All right, so there's strong policies, but weak enforcement unless there's big loss.
So then this question here.
So this guy right here.
How do
easy. You just use the QQ accounts, and they just give you the bank account, use the Swift payment, and the Swift code like that.
Okay, so the question was, how are they moving the money around? And what Anthony's saying is they literally communicate via QQ and then hand each other bank accounts and do Swift payments. Pretty straightforward, I guess. Guy in the red shirt here in the middle. Okay, so the question is, how do we bridge the gap? Number one, I think more like kind of what we're doing, more talks like this. I have an idea. I don't know if it'll work out. We did a Metasploit track the last last year in Blackhat DC. I'd like to propose a China track and bring speakers from over there to sort of showcase. I've proposed it to Jeff and Ping, and we'll see what happens. I don't know.
I suggest all of you guys could come to, to study more, like to work together to share some of topics, like the China or United States, and work together on some topics.
Let's all go to XCon. We have to leave Sunday, but next question. There's a guy right here in the white shirt.
So how much do the game accounts normally worth if they sell? What's the dollar value associated with that?
Sure. So the question was, what's the dollar value associated with game accounts that get stolen?
Actually, for the game accounts, it depends how many weapons do you have in your account. If you have got many weapons, then you could sell a lot of money, right? And also based on, most likely depends on the number of weapons of the account holder.
The one number I saw is just that it's a $4 billion industry. I don't know individual accounts what they're worth, but overall it's worth a lot of money.
You could exchange the money with your weapons.
Blue shirt.
So in Northern Europe and Russia and malware, you see a lot of credit card theft, identity theft, DDoS, that kind of attack. And then this seems to be focused mostly on stealing game accounts. Are you seeing those other kinds of crimes also in the Chinese malware, or is it pretty much just exclusively focused on game?
So the question is, in other areas of the world, we see like credit card theft, identity theft, and what we've been talking about mostly is like game account theft. And he's wondering, do we see, also identity theft and credit card theft? And I think the answer is yes.
Yep. Actually, I could say in China, the practice of using online banking is not very prevalent. Just focus on some major cities like Beijing and Shanghai. But most likely, most of the people does not own their own computers. Does not own their computers at home. They go to the cyber cafe. Okay. So that's the reason they simply to play the online games, then to try to use the QQ communicate with each other. So they will pay the money at the cyber cafe more. So most of the time is their game accounts, the weapons there is there some kind of their assets. So most of the children are targets for them. There's a large population. But for you, if you come to China, if you go to the cyber cafe, you need to provide your identity card to register, to identify your identification before you enroll in the cyber cafe. That's the reason they would like to, the children right targets this market.
Yeah, we have seen cases of where they steal like equivalent to our social security numbers. You have a identification number. They do steal that, although it's not really worth anything in China. You don't really have prevalent credit. You can't go get a credit card with it. So they steal, in a sense, they can steal private information, but it's not really valuable. They can't turn that around and actually
less valuable, huh?
Get something with it.
Yellow shirt.
After all the tools steal everything and you've amassed large amounts of stolen data, how efficient at partitioning and pricing and moving stolen digital objects, identities, what is the actual sales market like for stolen information in China? Is it high margins? Is it low margins?
Yeah, so the question is, after you've stolen the gaming account data or whatever, how do they actually move? What are the margins on?
Is it efficient?
Yeah, I could say that it is quite efficient because you'll find my slide actually for this year expect 100 billion RMB Chinese dollars will be earned in the children market for the sales of the children and also the sales of the credentials. And because when you sell the credentials, like the bank, like the online game accounts, they get back the money. And so sells the tools, they get the money. Also the hacker training school and the forum subscription fee, also another way of the revenue.
And one thing that's interesting is that because the cost of living is low, the returns on individual stolen accounts don't have to be very high to be really valuable. So maybe in our terms, money-wise, it might not be as much as like a credit card theft here, but in terms of their livelihood and their, their standard of living, it's actually valuable.
Do you think the authorities would get kind of pissed that there's that much money in a market and they're not controlling it, involved, taking it big, whatever?
So the question is, would the authorities be upset that there's that much money in the market that they don't control? Yeah, I wouldn't venture to guess what the authorities think.
Yeah, actually I have no ideas about it.
Yeah.
So the guy in the black here, and then we'll go to the guy in the red.
As the amount of offshore coding increases out of China, as we're employing more coders over there, and so they have access to the code base and commercial products that are distributed out of the United States and on the Chinese side, they have fairly easy access to malicious code. What are the risks of having that malicious code injected into the commercial products that are being developed?
So the question is, as we outsource more code development to places like China, they obviously have a lot of free access to malicious code. What are the risks? Well, I think the risks for backdoors are pretty high. I don't necessarily have statistics about that because we haven't reverse engineered US products looking for Chinese backdoors. But, anytime you have large numbers of people doing stuff, 10% are going to be bad. So you have to assume that it's going on.
All right, the guy in the red here.
You said that China has strong anti-hacking policies, but they only enforce it with money laws. Whose money laws? Not China. It has to be within China, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the question is, we stated that there's strong policies, but weak enforcement unless there's a large money loss. And he's asking whose money. So obviously, if it's U.S. money, I don't think they're going to care. If it's internal money to China, then they'll do something.
Have you seen that? Have you seen the target country or 90% of it was not high?
No. There's just as much attacks going on within China. I mean, that's one of the big points that Anthony was trying to make is that QQ, like all the stuff in China, they're hacking Chinese people. I mean, that's where the majority of those targets are for this type of activity is in China itself. You have any comment, or is that?
Actually, if you're talking about international hacking stuff, right? So much more related to the botnet stuff. So for the botnet stuff, of course, many computers in China, because the security hardening, the control is not really strong enough. So they will manipulate to install some botnet there and being controlled to spread it out, to spread out some bots there. So it is already like this kind of model also infect to spread out the attack.
Yeah, so that's a good point. One of the big financial models is to hack a bunch of machines outside of China to build them as botnets and then sell the botnet service inside of China and monetize it that way. So yeah, that's another model. Next question. Lady right here. Yeah, so the question is, what's the role of China CERT? Is it similar to the US CERT? And
yes,
Anthony knows
I could
about
say
that.
yes. Because they are simply like the computer emergency response team there. Yeah, to do some kind of like the response like that.
I think they mostly do like information reporting. Is that they collect statistics about attacks and report it?
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, you said there were 2.5 million frozen in 2009?
2.5 million more than the previous year.
Yeah.
So are they concerned about that? Is there a farm that people like that and delicious offerings out there for China?
So the question is there concern in the country and are they trying to control all the malicious hacking?
Actually, like it is a problem in China. They know it. However, the problem is the awareness or even the budget or resources in different companies or companies does not got enough to spend it on the security controls. And you find the figures like the CISSP. Then the figures in China is very little population, a small population. So that's the reason they put the administrator to work on the security stuff, administration all together. However, they don't spend a lot of time resources on that. So that's the reason most of them companies, servers are being targeted and being chosen.
So that's another good point. The security infrastructure in China is pretty weak, like as far as defensive. The defensive community isn't very strong. And so what he's saying is they know that that's a big problem. And that's part of what I think we're trying to do is help raise the awareness over there as well. So I think we're out of time. We're going to get off the stage, but if you want to talk to us afterwards, the slides will be up on the attackresearch.com site. And thanks for coming and watching us.
Thank you.